Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby.
No, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You're the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border. And then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on American soil. So he became the anchor baby. They don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Yes, I'm the American Anchor Baby. This is my show. Thank you for being with me. Got a couple things to get into today. Should be nice. Should be a nice show. Getting into a bit of the tech world, some tech nonsense they're trying to push. Some people are welcoming the advent of an AI god, so to speak. And of course, speaking of modernity, we got Ted Kaczynski, the death of Ted, one who spoke out a lot against this advancement of technology. Someone I've been a little interested in after hearing about him a lot over the years, and then after hearing about what's being called a suicide. Apparent suicide in prison. I watched this Netflix series on him. It's pretty good. And so some interesting stuff there. We'll get into a little bit of Ted, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a little bit of dogs. A common topic. I've railed against the very important topic of dogs. Yeah. And it's something I've been vindicated on. I was right about this. A lot of people think they wouldn't be able to take a dog on, or a wolf. I brought that up once. Would you be able to take, an individual, man versus wolf? A lot of people are not very confident they'd win, but I got the techniques, and I've been vindicated on this very topic. We'll get into very important, pressing topics today on the American Anchor Baby Show. That and your calls, 888-775-3773. If you want to get in on the lines. So, AI church, hundreds attended AI church in Germany. What's going on in Germany? ChatGPT chatbot led more than 300 people through 40 minutes of prayer, music, sermons, and blessings. AI's on our side. AI's Christian, if you tell it to be, apparently. Hundreds of German Protestants attended a church service. I said that like almost like, ha! Who else but the Protestants? Don't read into that. There was no such spirit behind that. I don't have the knowledge behind the denominations to have any kind of judgment or hate like that. Kind of interesting, right? Just the mere knowledge of the differences. Anyways, though, those Protestants, am I a Protestant? What the heck? Protestants attended a church service in Bavaria that was generated almost entirely by artificial intelligence. ChatGPT chatbot led them in 40 minutes of prayers, music, sermons, blessings. And a theologian and philosopher from the University of Vienna conceived this service, says, rather, I accompanied it because I would say about 98% came from the machine. The 29-year-old scholar said, the machine. The AI church service was one of hundreds of events. Anyways. an AI God, the advent of an AI God. This is actually perfect for people when you think about it. This is actually perfect. I've been saying this, AI is going to make jobs easier for in many respects, for those that are quick on the ball. It's also going to make fake jobs very easy, a lot easier. It's going to be a lot easier to fake it till you make it through a job. Get AI to generate some art or this or that. I wonder if I should do like a series, or someone should do a series where they attempt a profession they've never done, have no experience in, and AI it all the way through. It's going to make fake jobs easier. So really, this is actually perfect for people. I mean, that's what preachers do, right? They just aggregate verses and stuff and make people feel nice with songs. AI is just doing a better job at it. It's just doing it faster. It's the same thing that people do anyways. Thinking is not that special. Thinking is just a faculty that can be replicated clearly. So it's not that special. Understanding. Oh, show me an AI that could do that. But that's what all these churches are, right? It's perfect for them. No big, no different. Really, they're just going to be doing what they already do at a better level. Just get an editor to edit what the AI is putting out, and bingo, bango, bongo, you got yourself a Joel Osteen level service. You can tell AI to add whatever you want. But the WEF, they had to jump in. They had to jump in because they needed to jump in and be creepy. The WEF, the World Economic Forum, the same people who put out the creepy "You will own nothing and be happy." Well, apparently they got a memo. They said, you know what, boys? They all sat in a circle. I'm making this up if you haven't noticed, but they all sat in a circle. The World Economic Forum. They said, boys and ladies, there's probably ladies there. How do we? You know what hasn't been said about us lately? They haven't accused us of being weird, creepy people trying to take over the world. You're right, Klaus. What should we do? Oh, I know. Let's say that. Let's call for AI to rewrite the Bible and create a world Bible where all the religions are actually correct. This is from Slay News. A top official with the World Economic Forum has called for religious scripture, in general, to be rewritten by artificial intelligence to create a globalized new Bible. Yuval Noah Harari, senior advisor to the World Economic Forum and its chairman, Klaus Schwab, argues that using AI to replace scriptures will create a unified religions that are actually correct. Made the call while giving a talk on the future of humanity. Like, did you guys get? We need to push that. Oh, what do we do? They needed to fill that quota or something. World Economic Forum being creepy. What do you guys want people to react? And then they'll go out and say these conspiracy theories saying that we want weird things. Weird. And speaking of, and of course maybe this too. This fits the modern world we live in. This little video. See if I can play it for you. This little video, it was this guy. I came across this video. Oh, is this? Can you guys hear this if I play this? Oh, we'll see in a moment here if I can do it. But basically, it seems like an immigrant man with an accent, with a flag, with an American flag, speaking to a slim, communist-looking white guy. And he's like, if you don't like this flag, you get out of this country. Which is such an interesting intersectionality of events and cultures and what has been happening in America for this situation to even happen. For this very special intersectionality of cultures going on here. Very special moment here. See if I can pull it up. Can I do it? Can I do it? Can he do it? Hopefully you can hear it when I play it. Oh, interesting. Bill, this worked the other day. Oh man, well you understood what I'm saying there. I explained it to you. This guy, as you can see here, you just see the video. You probably can't hear him, but he's saying, you see the white guy there? That's he says he's a communist too. The guy in red. That's the white guy. And this guy, the Armenian dad is what they're calling him. He's like, you don't like this flag? You don't love this flag? Then get out of this country. What happened? What the? Oh, many different things came together. Numerous modern forces came together to bring us that clip. Okay? Very powerful modern forces. Barreling train of industrialization, unstoppable train of the Industrial Revolution that brought us here. Can we draw a line all the way from the Industrial Revolution to that man, that Armenian dad? Is that you might be able to. I know Ted Kaczynski definitely might. Well, he might agree with me. You might agree with me. We can't know now, as he is now dead. Right? Associated Press reports Unabomber Ted Kaczynski died by suicide in prison. Known as the Unabomber, University and Airplane Bomber, Unabomb, University and Airline Bomber. That's where he got that name. Who carried out a 17-year bombing campaign that killed 3 people, injured 23 others, died by suicide. 4 people familiar with the matter said to the AP. Kaczynski, 81, suffering from late-stage cancer, found unresponsive in his cell at the Federal Medical Center in North Carolina. Saturday, emergency responders performed CPR, revived him, but they were not authorized to publicly discuss Kaczynski's death. Kaczynski had been held in the federal Supermax prison in Florence, Colorado since May 1998, where he was sentenced to 4 life sentences plus 30 years for a campaign of terror that set universities nationwide on edge. He admitted committing 16 bombings from 1978 and 1995, permanently maiming several of his victims. Oops. And so the guy's they call him what? A serial killer? Psycho, deranged, right? For what he did, he released a manifesto, this 38-page manifesto, the Unabomber Manifesto, to some fame or infamy, of which I've read maybe like 8 pages of it. I gotta, geez, can you finish something, bro? So, and he talks about what I was tongue-in-cheek referring to, the Industrial Revolution and its consequences, he says, have been a disaster for the human race. They have greatly increased the life expectancy of those who live in advanced countries, but they have destabilized society, have made life unfulfilling, have subjected human beings to indignities, led to widespread psychological suffering, and have inflicted severe damage on the natural world. A bit of an eco-terrorist, maybe a little bit. The continued development of technology will worsen the situation, says Ted. It will certainly subject human being to greater indignities and inflict greater damage on the natural world. Okay. Part of the ideology or whatever, the part of his writing on why he did this 18-year campaign of terror. I mean, you got to think about that too. 18 years. In this Netflix series I was watching, I mean, there's just numerous interesting moments here. I'll mention how he believed, I was going to say, Oh, yeah, I was just thinking, something I was thinking about. You got to understand, 18 years. For 9, 10 of those years, federal investigators had no idea who they were dealing with. Putting out a plane, famously, Chicago, American Airlines plane on its way to Chicago. The plane, he didn't bring down the plane. He definitely tried to. Ted Kaczynski did, with a bomb that went off when the plane reached a certain altitude. You know, I'm describing the level of basically how he had these people, these federal agencies and stuff, running around in circles trying to find him. DEFCON 4 at some cases, where the intelligence agencies put the America's danger at and stuff like that. But you got to understand, years of looking for this guy. You gotta wonder how much his actions advanced the very things he didn't want. A surveillance state, using technology to find people. I mean, at the time, right? 1978, okay? Before the internet. You gotta wonder how much he advanced that. Forcing federal agencies to look for this guy. You know what I'm saying here? Like, they had to develop, I'm sure they had to develop quite interesting technology for the Unabomber and people like him. And now look at the level we're at now with the censorship, the ability to censor and track people online. It's at this point pretty much known. NSA, remember the whole NSA stuff, which I don't know too much about, but it seems to have revealed. I mean, it seems like to anyone that kind of heard of it, it's like pretty clear the government spies on citizens. So Ted believed the Industrial Revolution changed the society for the worse. Modernity and technology created a soulless life with no autonomy, he'd say. He said in this one of his only, I'm pretty sure the only in-depth interview he ever gave, when, years later he's in prison and all that. He said, the technological system created a soulless life with no autonomy. So he went to live in a cabin, right? So he went to get away from cities and civilization. He said he wanted physical freedom by being a hermit. But that's just so interesting. His desire for autonomy, so much so that he'd want to go live alone in a cabin, but yet be still subject to the world to the point where he had to deal with it. He had to be violent against it. He couldn't just go off and live in a cabin and be autonomous. You know what I mean? Now you could say, well, yeah, he's no matter what, he's still ultimately in the system. So he had no other way to be free. But it's just, it brings into question the very nature of freedom and what that means. Because we're all living in this system, right? And it sometimes feels like we can't do anything. Our job, we're stuck in a job, we're stuck in a certain place we live, we're stuck in all these physical things and places. But here is Ted, who went off to live in a cabin to get away from it all. But did it work? You know what I'm saying here? Brings into question what is being free. I mean, Ted wasn't a Christian. He was he wrote about not believing in God, seeing no scientific evidence for the existence of God. After many letters would come in asking him to turn his life to God, he was quite active. He wrote a lot of letters to people in prison. Okay, so he wasn't just a little hermit. After he was in prison, he spoke to a lot of people, maintaining correspondence. He had a radio and a TV in his cell. The TV, which he rarely used. In fact, even during 9/11, when he heard he had the radio on, he usually listened to music. 9/11 happened, and this is what I read. Okay, I read these collection of this Yahoo News collection of all these letters he maintained correspondence with. Anyways, they said in this writing that I read that he wanted to stay principled. He cared more about, I think he even said, let me pull it up. Yeah, he's quoted as saying that I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he's quoted as saying that he cared, that it's more important to his ideals were more important to him than feeling pity for an enemy or feeling something for your family or feelings, basically. So he'd say he was principled, if you could say that, right? He believed in his principles at least, and that's why he didn't turn on the TV for 9/11. But where was I? Just interesting things about this guy's life. I mean, I just find him interesting. But what was I saying here? I was getting at something. Because, yeah, he was principled. He didn't want to turn it on, even 9/11. I spoke about how he wanted that autonomy, yet couldn't find it living off alone. His 1979 bombing of that plane I mentioned in his diary, he writes, "Unfortunately, plane didn't go down. Bombed too weak." It was very calculated, it seemed, in his writings. I mean, he wrote so callously about Hugh Scruton, a computer store owner he killed with a bomb he had set up in a parking lot, which is an interesting thing now kind of focusing it on the victims a little bit. An interesting thing to consider, despite being this principled man like I just mentioned and what he said about 9/11 and not turning on the TV. I find a similarity between people like Ted Kaczynski and other ideologues who were driven to the point of doing things like this, like Timothy McVeigh, Oklahoma City bombings, 168 people killed. Children were killed in that. I find it hard to I don't know too much about Timothy McVeigh. Maybe it fit his ideology, but I mean, with what Ted Kaczynski wrote about and technology and the people pushing it, killing this. When you look at the list of victims here in Wikipedia, I mean, graduate student, university secretary, university police officer, people he maimed, and now he got some big name. He got an advertising executive at Burson Marsteller. I don't know what that is, but you see what I'm saying here? This principled person seemed okay with deaths that didn't fit his principles. Anyways, things I thought about as I looked into the Unabomber. You know, his brother David would come out and do multiple interviews saying, "Wow, I'm just so shocked. He was the best person I ever knew." And I'm just watching this guy, seeing multiple things that he's put out or interviews that he's done, saying, I spent most of my life trying to understand why Ted would do what he did. Bro, he wrote a manifesto. Move on with your life. Like, move on, David. And here I am getting involved. Familial matters that don't matter, that have nothing to do with me. He's not listening, but I'm a busybody. I'm a bit of a busybody. David, move on, bro. He wrote a whole thing. Why he did it. He wrote it in a book. Maybe you disagree, and he's like, okay, but you got the reasons. So move on. David Kaczynski. Let me see what else. Just to finish this off here, because there's a lot of interesting things here, kind of scrawled in my notes. Oh, you know, he wrote. This is an interesting thing too here, since I mentioned the 9/11 thing, because Kaczynski got into reading the Quran, according to these Yahoo news, the letters of Kaczynski and the correspondence he did with people during his prison time. And so he tried to better understand Islamic culture, especially after 9/11. And he went on and offered commentary on Al-Qaeda's stupid strategy, because people would write to him and ask him what he thought about 9/11 and Al-Qaeda and whatever. And he wrote, if Al-Qaeda's goal is what Al-Qaeda pretends it is, namely the collapse of the U.S. or maybe of the West as a whole, their strategy seems inexplicably obtuse. He wrote in a 2002 letter, they ought to have realized that proclaiming themselves to be enemies of America as such and engaging in indiscriminate mass slaughter of Americans, they could only earn the hatred of all Americans and unite Americans behind their own leaders. Jeez. He goes on and he says, He goes on and he offered Al Qaeda a bit of advice on how better to go about their stated goals. The man known as the Unabomber argued that they would have been far more effective if it had declared its friendship for the American people and waged war only on the existing system and the members of the American elite. That way, Al Qaeda might have won the sympathy of some Americans. This is the old strategy of divide and conquer. Interesting. 2002, okay, y'all? Someone took his advice. Sure feels like that's what's going on. You paying attention? He would also say, get rid of the industrial system by any means necessary. Now, is this a stretch, or am I like, is this just autism? Because I focus on like these usage of terms and words. Okay, people say, I believe this, I believe that. But listen to how they speak and see what they really believe. I mean, by any means necessary. Is this a stretch? I mean, that's that communist term. By any means necessary. That doesn't sound very Christian either. By any means necessary? Would Jesus speak like that? Like, they just, by any means necessary at all? What's the goal here? The goal is to end the industrial system. Well, clearly doesn't sound Christian. I mean, his parents, Ted and Wanda, they became atheists. Kaczynski wrote from his cell he didn't believe in God. 4 life sentences, 12 by 7 foot cell, 23 hours a day. I mean, I wonder what kind of work you'd have to do internally, what you're faced with, the ego, with that kind of alone time. 4 life sentences, 12 by 7 foot cell. He wasn't that lonely, like I mentioned as well, right? All those letters, hate mail, love letters. Yeah, he got love letters. People falling in love with him. What's up with women always sending letters to serial killers? Doesn't matter. There's a little dating advice for y'all. Doesn't matter if you're a Chad looking big dude. Doesn't matter if you're this, if you look like this or that. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You could be little Ted Kaczynski. It doesn't seem like especially at his 81 years of age, he was like a little, he's Ted Kaczynski. Okay, I mean, I see young pictures. He was would you say a handsome young fellow? Whatever. The point is, doesn't matter. Just be a serial killer. You'll get ladies. You'll get women. And we let these people vote. We let these people vote. And you can be a serial killer and women will fawn over you. They can't control some basic instinct there. Or you can look tenderly in her eyes and caress her face, and they fall for that. Women. And they vote. You know what I'm saying? Oh, geez. Okay. I love you. One of the most believed lies of all time. Okay. Kind of a side note there. But not too much of a side note. Love. We're talking about love. We're talking about Unabomber and love letters. Ted Kaczynski, he remained a virgin. He remained a virgin till the end of his life. At least according to... Hold on. Let me not give you fake news. Fake news. Unabomber. Is it OK Magazine? Hold on. I had it here. Kaczynski. Secret letters reveal Unabomber Ted Kaczynski shunned sex and died a virgin. What no women will do to a guy. You seen those memes? Bro gets no. They use a dirtier word. Although, Jesse told me the P word was not a dirty word. You could just say it kind of like the B word. I grew up those two words. You don't really go around throwing out those two words willy-nilly like that. But some people say what no P will do to a guy. Is Ted Kaczynski an example? What no, when you get no itches? You guys are funny in the chat. Oh, man, what no itches will do to a guy. Okay, but on a serious note, he died, Radar Online, dirty little publication here saying he died a virgin who go to his grave sexually frustrated. But, apparently he shunned, sex or whatever. Hold on. I had an excerpt from his writings about this. Hold on. Because he had people, he had lady friends, maybe even a lady love. Anyways, kind of based. Kind of based. But what else here? I mean, you guys find this interesting? I found his life fascinating. I'm almost done here, though. Then we'll move on to something else. That's it for that, though. He did release like an updated Unabomber manifesto. 2016 kind of talks, it's like updated because, the internet was around and all that. It's called the anti-tech revolution. And originally in the manifesto, he was unsure if this system we're living in, with the technological system as he called it, which is described as the Industrial Revolution as it has progressed to this point, and the world we live in, really just technology and its advancement. But basically, he was unsure. Originally, he was unsure if he says the industrial technological system may survive or it may break down. If it survives, it may eventually achieve a low level of physical and psychological suffering, but only after passing through a long and very painful period of adjustment, and only at the cost of permanently reducing human beings and many other living organisms to engineered products and mere cogs in the social machine. Furthermore, if the system survives, the consequences will be inevitable. There's no way of reforming or modifying the system so as to prevent it from depriving people of dignity and autonomy. This is what he said in the updated thing, though. Anti-tech revolution. He says why the technological system will destroy itself. So he seemed to have changed on that a little bit. Seemed to be more sure that it's all going to come crashing down. But let me move a little bit faster. Like I said, I'm fascinated by his life a little bit, and I spent a lot of time already, but I should move faster because there's another part to his life and his story is his involvement in this Harvard, in this MK Ultra. Okay, you heard of this? Y'all know about MK? What you know about MK Ultra? No. Yo, what do you know about MK Ultra? It was an illegal human experimentation program designed and undertaken by the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, intended to develop procedures and identify drugs that could be used during interrogations to weaken people and force confessions through brainwashing and psychological torture. Began in 1953, halted in 1973. MK Ultra this whole project has had recent attention. Over the years, it's had attention, but again, recently after, due to the internet and people revealing how this happened. Okay? But Ted Kaczynski's connection to MK Ultra explained. According here to Washington Post, Unabomber Ted Kaczynski Harvard experiment. So this is it's not like unknown info. This is like known things, okay? The Harvard experiment that led to the Unabomber, say some. Before he was the nationally feared Unabomber, who was found dead. During his college years, Kaczynski was part of a 3-year experiment aimed at psychic deconstruction by humiliating undergraduates and thereby causing them to experience severe stress. I mean, apparently it was voluntary what he did, but MK Ultra and all the experiments and stuff done then, when looked at, what's the word I'm looking for? When you look back, many say they broke any kind of medical conventions, any Hippocratic oath to do no harm. They'd say they were very unethical, okay, despite people like Kaczynski volunteering. But anyways, helming the study was psychologist Henry Murray, who during World War II worked with the Office of Strategic Services, forerunner to the CIA. Murray's work was developing tests to screen applicants and see how well they stood up to interrogation, blah, blah, blah. Details of the experimentation to which Kaczynski was subject to are scant, but Moreno described it as involving psychological torment and humiliation. Every week for 3 years, someone met with him to verbally abuse him and humiliate him. He never told us about the experiments, but we noticed how he changed. This is David Kaczynski speaking about his brother, Ted Kaczynski, and the experiments. He never told us about the experiments, but we noticed how he changed. He became harder, more defensive in his interactions with people. I mean, David's a little bit of an emotional wreck, so I would take... I'm talking like I know him. David, sit down. Calm down, bro. No. The experiment was reportedly part of the CIA's clandestine illegal program, MKUltra. Scary. After his college years, Ted Kaczynski gave into distrust and dislike of society, isolating himself. Anyways, all kind of interesting stuff. And the government. I mean, people mad at the government. And it's crazy. It's crazy. Psychedelic Trendsetters StudyFinds.org says use of hallucinogens has doubled among adults since 2018 and teens. Teens, not the teens. More and more Americans are trying to tap into a different frame of mind, bro. According to researchers from the University of Michigan at Columbia, man. Suddenly I have to change my voice when reading this article. Scientists report that the use of LSD hallucinogens in the United States nearly doubled among young adults. In 2018, the prevalence of young adults who use hallucinogens where the prior year was 3.4%. The figure jumped to 6.6. The teens are getting high on acid. And so we got, look, acid is an MKUltra government drug. What are you doing, young adults and teens? Stop it. Stop it. Why are you taking, don't take government gay drugs. Please. You need the whole article in that voice? While non-LSD hallucinogen use remains substantially less prevalent than use of substances such as alcohol and cannabis, a doubling of prevalence in just 3 years is a dramatic increase and raises possible public health concerns. Is that a stoner voice? I'm trying to go psychedelic here. I'm not sure what I'm trying to do. Jeez. Don't do government gay drugs. Don't do drugs. How about that? But, yeah, you guys think you're like, oh, dude, that's like Jimi Hendrix, bro. And, yeah, man, I'm just expanding my mind, man. I used to have a friend. I used to have a roommate who would do things like that. Don't be doing that. Don't be doing that. He'd do these psychedelic things. And he'd sit there, he'd be like, man, dude, like, the government, like, it was like almost a meme, like out of a movie. But he wouldn't say much beyond that. I'd be like, hey, what about the government? Like, dude, a lot, bro. Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't seem like mind-expanding stuff, okay? It didn't seem like it didn't sound too smart. What's up, Big Mama Obama over there in Rumble? I do appreciate the Rumble support. Oh, man. Lol, it kind of sounds like the top 10 YouTuber. You mean top 15? Top 15s. Somebody knows what I'm talking about. Somebody in the chat knows what I'm talking about. So, yeah, what's up? And you've seen this, too. They're trying to, like, make this a medical thing, too, in California and other places. That's the next frontier of medical drugs. It's shrooms and psychedelics and stuff. You see these reports of the push to we're seeing therapeutic positive therapeutic effects of hallucinogens such as psilocybin. They use all the big words, and you're talking about shrooms, okay? You're talking about getting high on shrooms. Let's be real. But they use all the nice words like, we found positive therapeutic effects of 𝒔𝒐𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍�. Shrooms, okay? You're getting high. Stop. And so their medicinal thing, that's the new frontier, right? The psychedelics. That's the next frontier of medicine and therapy, which is an interesting look into how they see the word therapy, right? If you feel a little better, then it's a positive therapeutic influence. A lot of things make you feel a little better. A lot of people, it's called fentanyl. You heard of fentanyl? There's a whole population of bums out in the street who feel really, really good for a certain amount of time in a day. Okay? And I'm sure they'll report positive therapeutic effects of fentanyl. You know what I'm saying? Jeez. So, that is the modern world for you. See ya, Ted. Rest in peace. This world, you just weren't made for this world, Teddy. Old Teddy, an old soul living in a modern world. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to dogs. Dogs. Why are so many children dying to dogs in the UK? And what we can and must do about it. There's reports of a out-of-control increase in fatal dog attacks as well as non-fatal dog attacks between 2001 and 2021, average of 3.3 fatalities per year. Suddenly, 2022, 10 were killed and they're on track. The UK is on track to totally outdo 2022 in dog fatalities. It's not only dog fatalities, but like I said, dog attacks, 4,699 in 2007 to almost triple that in 2021 to 2022. Hospitalizations, 70% injuries on children to the head. 70% of injuries on children are to the head. There are one doctor recounts dealing with a near decapitation. The dogs are out of control, y'all. We got dogs at the White House. Okay. A little Alex Jones there. Despite an increase in both human and dog populations over the 4 decades, fatalities have remained consistently low until 2 years ago. What happened? Dumb owners, says DNK127. Yeah, I got to say, we're just seeing, it's just another bulwark of society coming down, right? Because people used to be able to just have dogs. But these things require maintenance, work, training, and ultimately they are these animals, input-output animals that they're balls of emotion, if you will. Biological machines, in my opinion. Kind of how I see animals. Biological, trainable, codable machines. You know what I'm saying here? Emotion, that's what emotion is. But you follow me here? These bio machines will go out of control if they get too much emotion. Okay, that's kind of my opinion here. But okay, so what am I saying here? Yes, there's all these attacks. How do you defend yourself against one of these attacks? How would you defend yourself? Well, you guys laughed at me. You guys said, oh, Nick, you wouldn't want to get attacked by a pit bull. You wouldn't be able to take... You guys didn't even think you guys could take down a pit bull, because I had brought this up in context. The conversation was man versus wolf. Do you think you could take a wolf, let's say, average adult male gray wolf, not human male, adult male gray wolf, average 80, 100, 120 pounds, okay? That's what I've seen. They can get heavy. They can get up to like 170 pounds, but let's get... Oh, that wolf is getting 8, says Lord Bibby. Thank you. We got someone who has a little bit of sense in the chat, because I said I could take on a wolf. Come on, let's be real. It won't be pretty, but I don't know about you guys, but I had dogs growing up. Many different dogs, play fighting them. How do you beat a dog? You shove your arm in its mouth. It only has one weapon in its mouth. You would think that's so counterproductive. You're going to let it bite you? Yes. You shove your forearm into its mouth, and when you shove your forearm far enough into a dog's mouth, they don't have the ability to. It's kind of like how you cock up a punch. They have to cock up the bite. They can't generate enough force because they have an arm stuck into their mouth, into their snout. Okay, so that was my theory. It came from experience. Okay, I fought these dogs. Okay, I didn't just pulling this out of nowhere. So I thought, you know what? Using my techniques, I'd take on a wolf. My point here is, okay, all you guys said, many of you were laughing, saying you wouldn't, and said about yourselves that you wouldn't even be able to take on a pit bull. Okay, I'm not saying it'll be pretty. Maybe some broken bones, maybe. But you're telling me you're not going to survive? The bare hand hunter. I found this guy on Reddit, so take this with a grain of salt. It's a Redditor, but I read this and I ran because this Redditor, bare hand hunter, I wish I could show you the video here, but as you can see, you couldn't hear it earlier. Have to fix that for the next show, but the bare hand hunter here explains someone who handles wolves. I mean, it's a Reddit person saying that. People online lie. Fair enough. But the question was man versus wolf, and this wolf handler says the answer is yes, although I suspect you underestimate the power and lightning-fast reflexes of a wolf. As someone who has direct experience with captured and hybrid wolves, I can tell you that unless you've been in the presence of one of these animals, you simply cannot understand the beast's incredible strength and destructive potential. That said, canines, like many other large predators, that said, canines have a particular vulnerability which can be exploited with greater and lesser degrees of success by humans. Nature has designed feral canines. He says nature's designed them. Atheist? Take it with a grain of salt. Nature has designed feral canines mentally and physically to attack fleeing prey using mouth structures specifically configured to keep bitten animals from pulling away. However, they have no physiological mechanism for preventing an object from being pushed into their mouths and throats. That's from the wolf handler. I knew that here. I knew that deep. I knew this. I just knew it. The recommended survival technique for an attacking let me pull this down. For an attacking wolf, extrapolation is necessary for obvious reasons, meaning, your results may vary, is to offer the forearm, then use the free arm to secure the back of the animal's head. So there you go. That's how you're going to defend yourself against all these dogs out here, this crazy world. You get one of these Mexicans out here in LA, they let their dogs just run around. Especially if you're walking a dog and you have a little dog, you got to watch. You got to watch it, man. I was taking care of these two little dogs that, man, it was horrible. This Mexican house nearby just runs out, just chomps on these little dogs I was taking care of. I'm like, great. First day I'm taking care of these dogs, I take it out for a walk and I get them killed, get them mauled by a pit bull. So you out there walking, especially walking these little dogs, these big dogs, they see food. I don't know what they see, but you know what's a little bit interesting here on this topic, as I have the knowledge and the info here and the audience here to listen. Wolves, hybrid wolves and domestic and captured wolves, or no, specifically wolves in the wild rarely interact with humans. They stay away from them. Although some wolves will get the taste for human blood, right? They'll figure out how to kill one, and then usually wolves will continue to kill humans until they're put down. Okay. That's how it usually goes down. And from what I've read and researched, I'm no wolf handler. I'm no bare hand man or whatever. From what I read, these wolves that typically stay away from humans, but the ones that do get a taste for human blood, the way it happens is usually these wolves have numerous non-violent interactions with humans, and they get accustomed to them. So they have totally normal, non-violent. So you can imagine, you're like out on a picnic. You're out there and you see a wolf and you're like, oh geez, it's a wolf. What the? But it's like acting all normal, just kind of sniffing around. It surprised you. You wouldn't normally get so close. It surprised you sniffing around. You're like, oh my God, such a cute little wolf. Oh, see, they're fine. Wolves are cute. No big. At least some are. And you go on with your life, not realizing that you just added another tick to the socialization of this soon-to-be human killer wolf. You know what I'm saying? It's like when people say pit bulls. It was the nicest dog. I don't know why he just suddenly mauled this infant to death. It was the cutest, most kindest, gentlest dog ever. I don't know. I just don't know why. How could it happen? It was getting socialized. Jeez. What are you guys saying? What are y'all saying in the chat? I got one more topic for you guys, then we'll move on here. Let me check. Mic check. Hope your Monday's going well so far, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Let me just check here. Beautiful. Okay, so I love pities. Nick going dressed like a hot dog next time we go wolf killing. What the? It's over. I'm out here John Wicking these wolves and dogs, okay? I just one at a time, though. I don't think I could take more than one on. One at a time, and then I need rest because my arm is probably going to be mauled. And maybe even broken. Don't you have like these two bones in here? It's like one flat one and then like a little thin one, little chicken bone. You're gonna get that snapped. But you will leave with your life. Come on, have a little faith in yourself. You can take these pit bulls on. So, it's an evil world. I don't know why I said it like that. But it is an evil world. And we get into the news stories, try and go beyond the headline here on American Anchor, baby. Try to do some self-reflection and see how we're reacting to stuff, because that is where the true evil lies, your reactions, the mind, the thoughts in your inner world. Wait, what? Hake's got some, sorry. Before I finish that, no, I'm not going to bring it up. If you want to see what Hake said in the chat, you go and read it. I can't repeat that. But if you're interested in fending off a pit bull, you might want to read what he wrote about in the chat and where you stick your thumb to release its bite. Okay, so what was I saying here? I was saying it's an evil world, okay? And like I said, we examine our insides, our mind, our reactions to things, because evil sometimes is a little bit more, I think more often than not, a little bit more hidden. Okay, it's not really 666 horns and Satan, and it's judgment. You know what? I don't talk to people like that. I'm better than that person. So, you know what I'm saying here? You follow me here. Evil is a little bit more hidden. But sometimes it's served on a platter, and it's like, are you still going to pretend we're not reality? The nature of reality is not a eternal fight. I heard the fight is over. I heard there was already a winner. But an eternal fight between God and Satan. Sometimes it's crazy. Just some Daily Mail headlines here. Daily Mail headlines. My dad's death made me. I mean, I don't know if this word is one of those words that's not exactly the cuss, but you wouldn't go around saying it on a show. But, aroused, if I can say that. But my dad's death made this person like horny. Las Vegas woman says her blood ran hot as she started taking pictures of her bum in the bathroom after dementia-ridden father's death. And experts call it the liberation effect. How is this a thing that experts talk about? How is this not a demonic? Las Vegas woman reveals her 75-year-old father's death had a surprising result. It made her horny. Shanna Christmas, 41. Her last name is Christmas. Is this a joke? Are we playing? I mean, I believe God is a funny man. God is a funny man. He loves a good laugh. I believe this. Said she goes for months. She went months without sex and often struggled to get aroused in her last relationship and all that. I'm not trying to get too gross here, but it came to a surprise when Christmas's dementia-ridden father died. And I see your calls. I will get to you. She experienced a renaissance in her sexual appetite. Her father's death. The father, the representation of Christ in the home, in the world. What is going on here? Experts, and here's where the experts weigh in. Experts say the death of a loved one may ignite sexual desire in what is known as the liberation effect, a sudden feeling of adventure or opportunity following a loss. Sounds demonic. The death of Miss Christmas's father, Charles, did not come as a complete surprise. He had been suffering from a form of rapid dementia, rare disease, robbed him of his memory, judgment skills. Sad situation all around. I mean, dealing with all this stuff. But yeah, check this out. Revolver. Actress Ellen Page. You know, remember Ellen Page? The one who is now calling herself Elliot Page. Did the whole removal of the chestises, the breastises, with the scars, got the scars and everything. I think what looks like ab implants, because has the most cut up abs I've ever seen in my life. Like, yoked out of her tree, Elliot Smith. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Got an ab work, but it looks kind of funny, the abs. Some say implants. Actress Ellen Page repeatedly punched herself in the face and heard voices telling her to become transgender. I mean, it's just sometimes served on a platter like it's Satan's world. There has been a lot of debate. Okay. Hold on. Yeah. The LA Times revealed, here it is. Elliot Page has revealed to the Los Angeles Times that she realized she was transgender when she started hearing then talking to a voice in her head, following a psychotic episode of self-harm. Days later, a doctor gave approval for her breasts to be removed. Wow. One night, he tried to knock himself out, took his knuckles to his face, and pounded over and over until bruises formed. They're calling her he in this article. For days after, he sat in a lawn chair on the porch, ashamed, his face sore, and then he heard a voice. "You don't have to feel this way," said the voice to the then Ellen Page. It was a small voice, barely discernible, but it kept echoing in his head, a way out. It was as if something in my brain turned around, recalls Page, now 36. The agonizing voice saying, "No, you're not. No, you can't." Just switched and became very gentle and loving. Oh, maybe I'm trans. Why don't I explore that? Whoa. Within weeks, he'd scheduled a Zoom consultation with a doctor to discuss top surgery. The procedure was scheduled for November. A month later, he announced to fans on Instagram who have known him since the release of Juno 13 years prior that his name was Elliot. Freaky stuff. It's a freaky world. Demonios, you have a demon inside you. Let's move on, though. I got some calls here. Let's get to the calls. I have Sydney out of Minneapolis. How you doing? You're on the air. Oh, hold on. Sydney, Minneapolis, caller, you're on the air. Hello. Maybe I have the calls muted. Hold on, Sydney. I may have the calls muted here. Do I have the calls muted? Test. Sid. Sid, are you there? Ah, what's up? You were there. That was my fault. I had the calls muted. What's up, Sid? How you doing, man?
Hey, good, man. I'm 💂💄💊💂 in the chat or whatever. I don't know.
That's super cool. Yeah, 💂💄💊💂 You've called my show before, actually.
No, I have not. I've talked to Jesse and Hake.
Yeah, because you see, your voice sounds familiar. I seen you in the comments. I do appreciate your support, Sydney. Man, thanks for your call.
Sure. Yeah, man. So no, I was just gonna listen to your show. I listen to you quite often or whatever. But
nice.
Anyway. Yeah, and but yeah, I just jotted down a few things you were just talking about.
Okay.
Just kind of figured throw my 2 cents. Why not?
Lay it on me.
Yeah, man. So were you talking about like big dogs, for example? Like I have 3 dogs, including a pit bull. And I was gonna say I think the reason, and I bike with them all the time. I even like post little videos of me and stuff.
Yes.
I'm gonna do another one with 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍� flags instead of the American flags in my cart because I have a little cart with a little dog and stuff that I pull on my fat tire bike.
Okay.
Anyway, man. So
Uzbekistan?
The reason why they pulled, huh?
Uzbekistan?
Yes.
Are you?
I was born there.
Ah. So you are an Uzbek, is that fair? Is that what you would call someone from there?
Yeah, but I was
or an
raised
Uzbeki?
Russian. Yeah, but I was raised more Russian. Like I'm white tone, like skin. Although I look Mexican now in the summer.
Oh, okay.
I'm tan, but I'm like really white. Like
Be
I
ambiguous.
Caucasian. Yeah, although they're more like Asian, Middle Eastern looking down there for the most part. But they have, it's like 95% Muslim. We were in that 5% that were not Muslim, luckily, but.
Okay.
But yeah, man, I moved here when I was 7 years old, legally, you know. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, bro, I was calling you. I was going to say the big dog thing. I think one of the reasons why they pull, like mine still sometimes does that,
right?
Is I think a lot of them were bred for like chasing certain animals or like going into holes and chasing like certain types of critters or whatever, rats and stuff.
I've thought about that a lot, actually, because I see these people walking around, their dog's always, it's like the dog is walking the person, not the other way around. And I always thought that would look a little wrong. But at the same time, it's like we're all trying to make dogs the same. But like you just said, they were bred for different things. I remember I had a Cocker Spaniel growing up. My mom had a Cocker Spaniel. And this dog I've never seen it hunt anything, nothing. One day it saw a bird and it got into this position I had never seen. It made its body totally straight, and it went and it got this bird like its genes activated at that very moment. I had never trained it. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it seems like the dog's the way it's bred, it seems to affect its behavior quite significantly, and I think
for sure.
I think it's ignored.
Yeah, you know, and I heard that wolves too. Like I heard that they like nudge. So if they're like upset with you or like a tamed wolf, I guess. I don't know if this is true, but I heard that they like nudge you instead of like biting you. Like they're kind of more like, hey, knock it off. They give you like a gentle warning before they tear you apart type of thing. Versus a dog might bite you, you know. But I don't know. I mean, it seems like they're very intelligent, so I wouldn't be surprised. Let's see, what else?
They're very emotionally intelligent, like most animals. They just know emotion, and people are emotionally out of control. So the animals are just like them.
Yeah.
Instead of having dominion over the animal, which would require having, I don't know, I guess dominion over your emotions, which you can't do on your own. You have to be a Christian to be a good dog owner.
I know. Yeah, I got to work on that. I got to work on forgiveness.
Why are you not a Christian?
Well, I mean, I read the Bible cover to cover recently.
Oh yeah.
You know, like in the winter. It's a little cold here in Minnesota, so I do a lot of reading in the winter, but. Yeah, it was interesting. You know, I definitely I like Christian values.
Okay.
I definitely like Jesse's approach.
Fair enough.
But I think a lot of it's been butchered, to be honest with you. I think a lot of it's just been...
A lot of what has been butchered?
Just Christianity in general. Just organized religion in general, you know?
I think that's fair to say. I mean, it seems like the religious are no different from the non-religious.
Definitely. But I agree with Jesse on like 99.999%.
Nice. Let's go. JLP head in the house.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not even thinking about taking a trip down there or whatever for church. But anyway,
go ahead.
What else were we talking about? You were talking about...
Sure, go ahead. Yeah. You had something else?
Yeah. If you just got a quick minute here.
Of course.
Let's see. So, altered states of consciousness. Let's see. So a minute ago you were talking about the voices in that one.
Ellen Page saying she heard voices telling her to be transgender.
Yeah. I actually, I don't know about you, but I actually believe some of those people. Like when they say voices tell them to do these evil things.
Me too.
It might be what that voice is. I don't know. Like, like kind of like what Jesse talks about. It's not us.
Yeah.
But I kind of believe some of those crazy people. What do you think? Like,
no, I absolutely do. I absolutely do. The mind is incredible. I mean, I don't know if you agree. You said 99% of what Jesse says. Well, all thoughts are lies. The mind being where Satan resides, or at least where Satan tries to influence you, is quite the revelation on the reality, the nature of reality itself. And so when you see it for that, when you've pulled back the curtain and you can see that that's what reality is, then it's not crazy to think that these people who say they heard voices, I believe them. Nicholas Cruz saying, voices told me to do it, and then they later regret it. I believe them. They were fooled. Like so many people are deceived. Like you and I are deceived. Like all people are deceived by the very same thoughts in their mind. It's the same thing. Yep. And they say they heard voices, right? And so then comes in the questions of, well, what did they hear? Is it an audible voice? Was it a thought? And I personally think all those questions are maybe interesting, but unnecessary, because I personally believe whether you hear it audibly or not, it's like the same. It comes from the same place.
Right.
It's the thoughts. Okay.
Well, right.
Real quick on this topic, though, don't forget what you're going to say.
Yeah.
I want to ask you something real quick. Your mind. Okay. If I were to ask you to picture an apple in your mind, close your eyes and picture an apple in your mind. What do you see?
Ooh. Okay.
What do you see?
All right. A red apple.
You see a red apple, but what are you seeing though? Do you see you actually see a red apple?
I saw like a cartoon. I pictured like a cartoonish red apple.
But you're actually seeing the cartoon of the apple, or are you just kind of imagining it? But what you're actually seeing is the blackness of your eyelids.
Both,
right? Okay, that's right. Okay, some people pretend like they don't have that faculty, but yeah. Yeah, I feel like everybody's like that. I feel like everybody. I personally think that's how everybody's mind is, and it's that same mind where you see the impression of stuff that I think is where those voices come from, and so I believe that.
What is it?
Satan, bro.
Well, what about altered state?
Demonios.
Can we reach that?
Say again.
Do we come closer? Like you mentioned, altered states. Speaking of like altered states of consciousness. Are we maybe reaching closer to that? Like, I know there were, like, dreams, drugs. I know, like, I read the book Changing Images of Man from, like, 1950s. Mm-hmm. And the doctors back then, Harvard-educated doctors back then, were doing research on this. And they confirmed that dreams, that ESP, especially among, like, twins, or, like, or relationship with, like, people that have close relationships, absolutely. They confirmed that they could
have some form of... When you say ESP, what do you mean? Can you expand on what you're saying here?
So in that particular study, it was like they could like transfer thoughts and stuff. They could communicate like non-verbal.
So like telepathy, but that's kind of a fantastical word for it. They had some notion of what the other person was thinking without that person saying it.
Right.
I mean,
stuff like that.
Vibes, energy. It's not that far-fetched.
Yeah, and that was like mainstream scientists, like Harvard stuff. So not like conspiracy theory.
Okay.
To say funny, 'cause
it's not that far-fetched when you can understand how people feel and think without them saying anything, just by detailed body movements. I don't know. You can just sometimes tell the energy in a room, so it's not that far-fetched.
Yeah, definitely.
Right on, Sydney. Uzbek Sid. I appreciate your call, man. You got something else, or I'm gonna move the wheels here, sir.
All right, man. Hey, don't forget, it's the unelected officials that control the shots, man. Not the elected ones, the ones behind the scenes.
It sure seems like that, huh? Entrenched power.
And Jesse's even picking up on it. Just real quick, he picked up on it a few weeks ago. He mentioned how, like, whoever's doing the stuff in South America or whatever seems to be like, it's like a cookie cutter situation. They're doing the exact same thing, country. And I said, Jesse's starting to pick up on it. It's exactly.
Oh man, no, sure. It definitely looks like that though, huh?
I'm telling you, they've been doing the same thing for a long, long time, Nick. Many decades.
Yeah,
But
I
I'll call
mean,
you
from
back
what
at a
I could
different time.
tell in my little book
Uh-huh.
learning, in my little bit of book learning that I've been doing, don't put too much stock into that. It's just stuff I've read. But that being said, from what I could tell, the how to take down a society or a country is not a mystery. It is like a exact science at this point. And divide and conquer, demoralizing people, immorality, getting rid of God. These are all. It's like a already figured out thing. It's not a mystery.
And they've been talking about it for a long, long time, like the Rockefellers and stuff
Yeah,
like that. Like
I'm
these
thinking of
billionaire
Bezmenov. I'm
families
thinking
and
of
stuff.
Yuri Bezmenov.
Yeah, I mean him too. Yeah. He's more recent though. That was like 80s, I believe.
Right.
But yeah.
Right on, man. Sid, appreciate your call. Call me again.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah.
Take
Thanks,
care.
man. All right, bye.
I got Mark, California, on the air. Go ahead.
How you doing? I appreciate you taking the call.
What's up, Mark? How you been?
Initially I called to talk about the Simpson thing because this is the anniversary of the chase.
So that's today, huh?
Yeah, but if
O.J.
you don't
Simpson.
mind, I did want to change that.
No problem. I don't know much about him
another
anyways.
issue. Pardon me?
I don't know much about him anyways. I would have welcomed the info, but go ahead. What do you want to talk about?
Well, real quick, then I'll get back to that. They arrested a preacher, a pastor somewhere in Pennsylvania last week because he was reading from the Bible when these trans people, these Satanists, were having a pride march.
Okay.
And the police, some dumb cop, actually arrested the preacher for reading from the Bible. And they took him to jail, but this morning they dropped all charges when they realized how ridiculous arresting a preacher is for preaching from the Bible.
Right.
Yeah, stupid cop, stupid DA. I'll tell you, I used to have a lot of faith in the police, but I think a lot of them are cowards, and they have to be politically correct.
Yeah.
So they go and arrest preachers. But that was
police forces and departments around the country. The personnel. There's been like a. I have a show coming up about this. I've been wanting to do, but there's been a concerted. We already know some of this, but the extent I don't think we really know on the concerted effort to change the personnel of the military and police forces around the country to a, easier to people who are more willing to do the work of the state and kind of not really patriots, okay, if for lack of a better explanation there.
Right. No, I know what you mean, but that one guy that's on your network, not Hake, but the black guy that's got a show.
Joel Friday.
Yeah, Joel Friday.
Yeah.
He said, I don't know, a month
Joel
or two
Friday
ago.
TV on YouTube. Go ahead. You were saying?
Right. But he said that he tried to get on LAPD.
Yeah.
And he said if you're not a politically correct liberal, they won't even pass you on the application.
Yeah, I forget exactly what he said, but it was a moment where he decided to be honest. I forget what it was that he was.
About a woman. It had to do with a woman.
Right, it had something to do with women, and he was honest about having a female partner. I think they asked him, "What would you care if you had a female, partner?" I guess out there while you're and I think he was honest or something, and they didn't give him the job.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy that's even true. What I'm saying.
Yeah, well, if he said it and he experienced it, probably true. But I bet you that wouldn't happen down in Florida. I bet you any of the cities down in Florida wouldn't try to eliminate conservatives, which is what they're really trying to do, is just eliminate conservatives.
Yeah,
but,
and there's been an effort to do so, really, truly, with the vaccine, with a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Now, getting back to the Simpson thing.
Real quick, before you move on. Christian, you're a Christian? You're a Christian, Mark?
Oh, absolutely.
And it's crazy. I mean, what you're saying, this LGBT, I just pulled up the story, too. This Damon Atkins, Christian street preacher, arrested for protesting LGBTQ pride event. Yeah, it's crazy what you're talking about here.
Yeah.
But what did I want to ask you? You said you're a Christian. Out of curiosity, did you see that video I had played earlier? It was this Armenian dad, and he was talking to this white guy communist.
No, I missed it.
And he was like, if you don't, and he was this Armenian guy with an accent. He's telling this white guy communist, would you, if you don't love this flag, and he's pointing to the American flag, then you better leave this country.
Okay.
I bring it up because I'm wondering, like, you know, what you think about that, and who would you see as your ally? I guess because I'm
the Armenian. I would go with the Armenian against the communist.
Yeah.
I don't care if he's white. He's white trash. I don't care any communist, any Antifa, are evil. Evil people, and I'll go even if they're an illegal alien.
Yeah, I'm starting to think.
As much as I despise them, I would still side with them over the devils, the open devils.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough, Mark. That makes sense to me. I mean, it seems to me more and more like I forget if this is actually a Bible verse, but that our family is supposed to be our brothers in Christ. No.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Anyways, I don't mean to derail. Go ahead. You had something to say about the Simpson thing?
Well, the only thing is, I was listening to Hake earlier, and he had a caller on who I usually like, but they were. Both him and Hake sounded to me like they were defending Simpson, like it was a phony story. I don't know what you know. Or
I don't know too much. No, I don't know too much. But I agree with the sentiment that the general vibe and consensus growing up for me was that he did it, and that he got away with it.
He did, and I agree.
And I have no clue.
Well, I wish I could have got in. Hake won't take my call, but if I could have got in, I would have said.
But go ahead.
Pardon me?
Don't worry so much about that.
Right, no, I was just going to say that I wanted to scream at the radio that there was a civil trial on the Simpson issue. And in the civil trial, they had a photograph of Simpson wearing those, how did he describe it? Those damn ugly shoes or something like that. He denied that he had a particular kind of shoe in the criminal trial, okay? And they didn't find it. But in the civil trial, they found the photograph of him with those shoes on. He was guilty right there, and one of the jurors on the criminal trial said, had she seen those shoes and they would have caught Simpson in a lie, she would have hung up the jury. She was one of the white woman, the one that they were browbeating in the jury room to acquit the savage.
That sounds pretty significant.
Well, it is.
It sounds. I say sounds because, again, I don't know the details, but that sounds pretty interesting.
Well, no, that's why he lost the civil case.
Wow.
But the civil came after the criminal case. Had that
right, that's different from the actual, like, did he do it murder case, big case, and all that with, what's it called? Who was his name? JC?
Nicole Brown Simpson.
Right.
And Ronald Goldman was also the other victim. Double murderer. And and they were talking about what a great guy
Johnny
Simpson
Cochran is who I was
athlete.
thinking of. Yeah, okay.
Cochran, yeah. And then they freed that other guy, the basketball player that raped the girl in Colorado. You know who I mean.
Colorado.
LA Lakers. Who?
Sorry, say again?
No, the Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, he raped the girl in Colorado. And no, he didn't do it. It's a white girl. She's just lying.
I don't know about the Kobe Bryant thing much either. But I never really got a general vibe or consensus about that. I heard about that maybe once or twice, and I never really got the feeling that the public felt either way about it, that he did or didn't. I don't know.
Well, the point is he paid her off. She dropped the charges. The Colorado cops said they believed Bryant was guilty. But, they killed that story because it was a black suspect and a white victim, so they had to kill that story. He paid her off, and that was the end of the story. The point is, Johnny Cochran, is the same lawyer that got him out of the rape, just like he got Simpson out of the murder.
Okay.
And I just don't think, don't take this the wrong way, but you guys are too young to remember
I won't take it that
this
the wrong
incident.
Way. No, I really don't. And so I don't take that the wrong way at all. I appreciate the input, especially from someone who kind of saw it as it was happening. What were you saying? I don't want to get too into it, but what were you saying you disagreed with like, it was Hake and Hassan talking about it.
Well,
you said
it wasn't.
You said that
it was a caller. It was a caller.
It was a caller who was saying.
that Simpson was such a great athlete and he was so well liked up in Frisco. So what? The devil would be a nice guy if he came to Earth and met you. They all come off as nice guys, but they're evil. Simpson ran from the police initially when they were after him. And you don't run if you're guilty. And right there, when I saw the slow speed chase, as it was referred to, on this date, 1994, so what's that, 29 years ago. On this date, 29 years ago, I sat and watched him, that's Simpson, and his football playing buddy, leading the LAPD on a slow speed chase down the freeway. He had a bunch of cash, a wig, and a gun. Why would an innocent man do that?
I don't know.
And he was guilty as heck. He's no all-American boy. I mean, he's evil. But
he was beloved, no, before all that? Was that fair to say? Well, that was at least true, though, right?
What was true? About the athletics?
That he was, would it be fair to say, like, beloved or something like that?
Yeah, he was. He fooled a lot of people. But you know what, though? To be honest with you, I was a kid when he was in college over at USC, and I didn't really know much about him. When he started doing Monday Night Football with Howard Cosell, I could just tell he was an evil character.
Really? What do you mean? What makes you say that?
The way he spoke, he was a fraud and a phony. He was playing up to the white man to get a white woman.
Do we have you on record saying that before the murderers and all that?
Oh, so yeah, I would tell my friends.
We need a YouTube video of you. No, I'm playing.
To
get the proof. No.
Well, this was back in the 70s,
right.
I think, But I'm nobody. I mean, who cares what I say? But the thing is, it's true. I knew the guy was no good.
Interesting.
I didn't think he was quite capable of what he did. But if you look at his history, he was a little rascal up in San Francisco in the Fillmore district. That's the ghetto up there. And he was in trouble with the law up there. He never graduated USC. They may have given him an honorary degree because he wasn't that bright. But he was violent, and he did do it. And on this date, 29 years later, it should never be forgotten. He did a few years for some other charge in Vegas. And I heard the black guard, the guards up there in the jail, they treated him like a damn king, like he was some kind of celebrity. So there you go. That's American justice. But I'll tell you, we're in trouble. This country's in big trouble. We're getting attacked on all sides. Besides what's happening at the border, we got domesticated criminals that are destroying our cities, and now they're trying to put Trump in jail. Wow. They got the goods on Biden, and they're putting Trump on trial.
So Trump can still run, though. Like, is that going to stop him at all? At the DOJ, think so. With the indictment, should they move to convict or anything beyond that?
Well, if he gets convicted, I think his support will grow even stronger. He's already far ahead of everybody.
Didn't they jail Hitler before he went to power?
He was in jail for a short time, and then he wrote a book, and then he got out. He was in there for a little while, but then he got out. But Martin Luther King was in jail, so I guess it doesn't. Not that he's a hero,
right? I was about to ask. That doesn't sound like you're. Doesn't sound like you see. I don't think you see it. Martin Luther King as a hero.
No. He was the first race hustler in American history. King was
not Johnny Cochran.
Well, no, he came later.
That's true. Way later.
King was the first race hustler.
Yeah.
The problem there was he cloaked his evil deeds in Christianity.
Yeah.
And but if you really look at who he was affiliated with communists. That he got money from Russia and Cuba, and the civil writers today won't even deny it. They won't deny that he had communist ties. But that's a different issue. J. Edgar Hoover knew it, but wouldn't do anything about it. The FBI wasn't any good back in the 60s. They had something called COINTELPRO.
Yeah.
Which was, well, that's what they did with the Trump supporters on January 6th. Mm-hmm. They instigated the Trump supporters to commit crime, because they were agents, and they did the same thing in the 60s with the Klan.
Yeah.
They would instigate Klan murders, and then they would find out later, well, there was an FBI guy in there. Yeah, he was aggravating them on. And this is what happened
That's the whole
in January 6th.
that's the whole like cocaine crack stuff with the CIA.
Yeah. But my issue here is the COINTEL program and the government's use of spies and informants to disrupt groups that they don't like. They never went after the Communist Party USA in the 60s. They did go after, like, the SDS and the Black Panthers, the more radical left, but they never actually went after the Communist Party USA. They did go after every right-wing group they could find in the 60s.
Interesting. I'm going to have to do a little homework on that, Mark.
Oh, it's the truth. COINTELPRO.
But thank you.
Viola Louisa. If you can remember that name.
I've definitely heard.
Louisa.
Oh, yeah, I've definitely heard of that one as well.
There were 4 suspects, and 3 of them were Klansmen, and the other one was an FBI informant. I can't remember his name. I used to know it. Colin Leroy Wilkins. He was one of the victims of that. They were convicted in a retrial after they proved in state court that the FBI, provoked the other members to kill Louisa. She was a communist from Michigan who went down south to raise hell. Sorry for the language.
No problem, Mark. Fascinating stuff. I'll definitely have to do a little homework, but I appreciate your call, man. Fascinating stuff.
God bless you.
No problem, man. Call me again.
I appreciate the time. Thank
no
you,
problem.
sir.
Call me again.
Bye.
Take care, Mark.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Moving the wheels. In fact, moving the wheels, parking the wheels. That's like all the show I got for you guys. That's the show. That's the show. That's the calls. Much appreciated. I do appreciate the calls and the support. Everybody who's been with me today. Join me tomorrow at noon for more American Anchor Baby. Make sure you're subscribed, following me and all that on the socials and all that. Stay in touch. Stay in tune what we're doing. We got Joel Friday tomorrow. What is a Substack? A Substack. Check it out, Teresa. AmericanAnchorBaby.substack.com. You can check. That's where you can find my podcast if you just want to listen to the show after the fact. But yes, thank you very much for being with me. Join me tomorrow. Joel Friday, Hake Report, and of course Jesse Lee Peterson and everything. Much appreciated. And take care, y'all. It's been fun. Peace. Bye.